At 21 we thought forever could survive on cheap wine and dreams. One mattress on a hardwood floor and late night talks about everything. We used to kiss in tiny kitchens, dance barefoot while ramen boiled. Back then love felt so simple, like the world can never touch us. But nobody warned us how fast life starts moving when growing up becomes surviving. We grew up too fast, rent got higher, hearts got tired, bills stacked up beside the sink, while silence filled the apartment. You stopped asking how my day was, I stopped noticing when you cried. Somewhere between overtime and stress, we forgot how to love each other. You worked double shifts on weekends, I stayed late chasing promotions downtown. We slept beside each other every night, but somehow still drifted apart. The fridge was finally full of groceries, but the laughter disappeared instead. Funny how we spent years building a life while slowly losing the reason for it. Love doesn't always die dramatically, sometimes it just gets buried quietly under exhaustion, routines, and all the things adulthood steals. Ooh. Now I miss those broke college nights more than anything money ever bought. 'Cause baby, we were happiest before the world taught us to worry. And sometimes I still wonder if we could have survived had we stayed young a little longer. Back then we loved with all we had, in a tiny room chasing better days. I was stuck between unfinished dreams while you were lost in fears of growing up. Every time we passed a wedding shop, you'd smile and talk about the future. I stayed silent and looked away, 'cause all I had were promises. Never stopped loving each other, life just got too heavy to hold. Two young hearts full of pressure, not knowing how to save what we had. Maybe we were the right people at the wrong time. I wasn't strong enough to give you peace, and you weren't ready to walk through the storms with me. And every fight became about money, about work, about dreams, about tomorrow. We hurt each other with words we never meant, until love was no longer enough to make us stay. Years later we met again by chance at the cafe where we used to sit. You look calmer than before, and I finally look like someone with direction. We talk like strangers with old memories, but our eyes still carried unfinished feelings. 'Cause deep inside both of us, there's still someone we never truly forgot. Some people are meant for each other, but life brings them together too early. So in the end, all that's left is regret instead of forever. If I met you later in life, when I was finally stable enough, and you were strong enough to understand my struggles, maybe we would have had a different ending. But you've never give second chances. Now all we can do is look at each other quietly, carrying the most beautiful love we ever had, and walk past each other one more time. Because the saddest thing isn't loving someone, it's still loving them when they no longer belong to you anymore. You look different tonight, not older, just softer somehow. Like life finally taught us both the things we used to fight about. We sat across from each other laughing, like strangers with familiar souls. And for the first time in years, being around you didn't hurt immediately. Funny how maturity arrives right after love leaves. If we met later, maybe we would've lasted. Now we both know how to listen, how to stay instead of running away. You learned patience, I learned how to communicate, but timing has a cruel sense of humor. 'Cause we became perfect for each other after we stopped belonging together. You told me about your new apartment, I talked about therapy and slowing down. We smiled at the versions of ourselves that used to destroy what we loved. Back then we were too emotional, too afraid, too proud to bend. Now we finally understand love, but with different people beside us. Maybe some relationships exist not to last Even simple walks felt beautiful, as long as you were there beside me. We used to stay awake talking all night, laughing at the smallest things. Love felt so easy back then, like nothing could ever change us. But time quietly pulled us apart without either of us noticing, until every meeting became filled with silence and exhaustion. We both changed, we're not the same people anymore. Now every conversation turns into arguments, neither of us trying to understand. There was no other person, no betrayal between us, just two hearts once perfectly aligned, now lost somewhere in life. I remember the night you cried over something small I forgot. You were never this fragile before. Maybe we've simply hurt each other too much. Some careless words slipped out, leaving wounds neither of us admitted. We held on to our pride too tightly and lost the thing that mattered most. The saddest thing isn't falling out of love, it's still loving someone, but no longer being able to stay together. Because the harder we try to hold on, the more we hurt each other. Feels like the source of every ache. Maybe love didn't end because we stopped caring. Maybe we just became too different. Neither of us was wrong. We simply no longer fit like we used to. When you were still beside me, I acted like love could never disappear. When you were upset, I stayed silent. When you were hurting, I thought you'd be okay eventually. I believed after being together so long, we didn't need to care that much anymore. Until the day I truly lost you. That's when I realized how wrong I was. Only after losing you did I learn how to truly love someone. But sadly, the person who taught me maturity is no longer here beside me. I'm sorry, I grew up too late. Only after losing you did I learn how to love right, how to text first after arguments, how to comfort instead of walking away silently. Now I know in love, pride matters less than the feelings of the person you love. But by the time I understood everything, the person I wanted most was already gone. I've changed a lot now. I notice the little things more carefully. I understand how one cold hurt someone falling in tight night. People say everyone grows after heartbreak, but some still get the chance to fix things, while people like me only live with regret every day. The saddest feeling is becoming a better person after the one who wanted that change the most is no longer there to see. I'm sorry for every time I made you feel alone. Sorry for loving you in such an immature way. You were more patient with me than I ever realized. I just wasn't wise enough to notice back then. If one day you ever hear this song, I just hope you know one thing. The person who taught me how to love maturely was you. Oh, the one I lost because of my own carelessness. The day you said maybe we should end this, I just stood there quietly staring at you, thinking you'd come back in a few days like you always did before. You were waiting for me to stop you, waiting for one last embrace. But my pride back then was bigger than my fear of losing you. I thought love that deep could never truly end. I never knew some goodbyes are final forever. Cried that much. I thought silence was harmless until I truly lost you. Then I learned some people leave forever the moment you stop trying to keep them. After the breakup, I finally remembered how sad your eyes looked that day. Not the eyes of someone who stopped loving, but someone exhausted from trying too long. Maybe you gave me too many chances. I just never realized it until the room became empty and our conversations disappeared forever. People usually regret, not because they loved the wrong person, but because they stayed silent in the moment they should have fought to stay. If I had held you that day, maybe things would be different now. Maybe these sad songs wouldn't remind me of you anymore. But life never lets us return to fix the moments we wasted. So even today, I still ask myself every night, what if I had held you that day? Saw you standing by the champagne table, white lights falling softly on your hair. Same eyes that used to know me better, now looking at me like a stranger, trying to be polite. It's been years since we burned down all the dreams we built together. Funny how time changes everything, except the way my heart reacts to you. Then the band started playing that old song from my 20s, and suddenly the whole room disappeared, except you and me. So we had one last dance, like the nights before everything fell apart. Your hands still fit perfectly in mine, and that almost broke me again. Then you smiled and whispered softly, I'm happy now. And all I could do was nod while my chest felt like it caved in. Talked about your new apartment, your golden retriever and peaceful life. I pretended I was doing good too, like people do when the truth still hurts. But every spin beneath those wedding lights felt like stepping back through time, back to kitchen dances at midnight, before love became something we lost. Nobody tells you the hardest goodbye is seeing someone you still love become happy without you. So the song ended way too soon, and you slowly let go of my hand, like maybe this was life reminding us some stories only belong to the past. You walked back toward your future, and I stayed frozen in that moment, smiling like a man who healed, while silently breaking all over again. Oh, yeah. I came home around midnight, still wearing my office clothes. Dropped my keys beside the doorway, and instantly knew something felt wrong. Half the living room was empty, pictures missing from the walls. The silence inside that apartment hit harder than any goodbye. No screaming, no dramatic ending, just quiet evidence that love was gone. The night she moved out, the apartment looked bigger somehow, like losing a creative space nothing else could fill again. Her toothbrush still sat beside mine in the bathroom by the sink, but she was already somewhere else, learning how to live without me. The closet door stayed half open, a few hangers swinging slowly, like even the room itself hadn't accepted she was gone yet. I found a note beside the coffee machine. I can't keep feeling alone next to someone, and God, I finally understood what she meant. Funny how people don't always leave suddenly. Sometimes they disappear emotionally first, long before the boxes ever leave the apartment. for that night. We had been together for so many years. Everyone thought marriage was only a matter of time. Friends from both sides kept asking, when's the wedding happening? I used to imagine our little home, quiet evenings with you and children laughing. I even secretly chose names for our future kids during the days I loved you most. I believed the person who held my hand the longest would be the one beside me forever. But sometimes time isn't enough to keep people together. I truly thought you'd marry me, thought we would build a family someday, thought the promises we made while young would eventually become real. But in the end, you were only the person who stayed the longest, not the person who stayed forever. And the saddest part is I was so certain about us. When we broke apart, everyone was more shocked than we were, because nobody believed two people who loved that deeply could still lose each other. I slowly erased the future we planned, even the baby names I once chose. Some dreams never even got the chance to begin before they had to be abandoned. Sometimes the person who makes you believe in forever becomes the one who teaches you that not every long love story gets a happy ending. I truly thought you'd marry me, so much that I never imagined another ending. Now whenever I see someone in a wedding dress, I only see pieces of my youth left behind. Oh, if someday you meet someone you truly want to marry, I hope you love her more carefully and never make her spend her youth waiting for a future that never comes. Back when we first fell in love, we didn't have much money at all, just cheap drinks and simple dates. Yet somehow we were genuinely happy. I used to drive you through quiet streets at night, talking about our future with shining eyes. Back then we truly believed love alone could overcome everything. And life slowly became heavier, bills, work, and endless pressure. We both came home exhausted every day, with less softness left for each other. We truly loved each other once. No cheating, no betrayal, no sudden change. Life outside simply became too heavy, and love slowly turned tired. Sometimes relationships just no longer had strength to continue. Some arguments started over tiny things, but deep down it came from exhaustion. You became colder after terrible work days, and I was too tired to keep talking. Back then one hug fixed everything. Now both of us carry too many burdens. We never meant to hurt each other. Life just slowly wore our hearts down.